A clean slate for the Tampa Bay media means tougher questions need to be asked to the new ownership group.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we are Kevin and Ulysses.
And we are lifelong Rays fans who have been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on today's show, the Rays have made a change to their hitting coaching staff. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. An impressive number of Rays players have earned All MLB nominations. But to start, the Rays media must ask the tough questions during the new owner's introductory presser.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Clean slate, Kev.
Yes.
And that means Rays ownership needs to be asked tough questions by the Tampa Bay media. And it's something that every fan base is going to want to have. Sometimes you're not going to get that opportunity because relationships have been forged. BAU style of work has been implemented. This is an opportunity. You're starting from scratch. You're starting from zero. You can start. You don't have to have the same modus operandi that you had with Sternberg. You can just be a little bit more oomph behind the questions, because I feel like sometimes the Tampa Bay media has not been as, I hate to be repeating the word tough, because I know that if I say something else, people are going to be upset, but yeah, tough. You need to ask questions that are going to be uncomfortable. Like that's journalism, right? You have to ask questions that are going to be a little bit difficult to answer, and you're going to have to put people on their toes, because if you're just throwing, lobbing fastballs down the middle there, then you're just doing Boy Scout journalism.
Yeah, in that case, you might as well just repurpose the press release and get a filler quote, and then you're done. But in the Tampa Bay media, yes, I know it's different than New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, and all that, but this is a prime opportunity to, not saying that you want to attack the new ownership group. And by the way, the new owners will speak on Tuesday morning officially, Patrick Slipsky, Bill Cosgrove, and Ken Babby. But it's an opportunity to get some groundwork laid on what are their plans, like the new stadium. Here's a question. What potential site are you targeting? Is it Ybor Harbor? Is it the Fairgrounds? Is it Rocky Point? Is it West Shore Plaza? Is St. Petersburg still in the mix at all? These are the types of questions that I want asked, and I would like to get a non-PR related answer. And beyond that, you also want to ask about payroll. You want to say and find out, hey, is the payroll going to stay around $80 million? What are your plans for that in 2026, 2027, 2028? What about the front office and the coaching staff? What are your plans for that? I think this is a time, again, there's going to be the regular pleasantries and platitudes where we're excited to be here. We're reeling in a new era. But when it comes down to it, the newspaper reporters and the television reporters must glean some clarity and some answers, because all we've heard to this point is speculation, seemingly.
Exactly. And to the platitudes, of course, you're going to have that in every type of scenario like this, right? You're going to hear the nothing blurb that you hear from ownership in this scenario. But when you ask a question, for example, let's play with that scenario. Hey, what kind of sites are you looking for? Is Ybor Harbor one of the desired locations? When the inevitable answer looks like, well, we're looking at all options right now. All options are on the table. Certainly, Ybor has its charm, but we're not discarding any sites right now. Right. That's when the follow-up question needs to get them a little bit more in depth. Like, you don't just like, oh, that's the blurb, that's the location, that answer gave you nothing. It gives us nothing. That's why I'm saying, like, you need to ask the follow-up questions is really what's important here. Like, Is there is there one in mind that would align better with your real estate background? Like, is there one that's really the desired one, but it's a little bit more difficult? I understand the politics of it, right? You can't just say things without repercussion if you're Zalupski in the ownership group. I understand that.
Yeah.
But that's not the media's a problem. The media has to ask those questions, no matter what the answers are. They're not responsible for the answers that they're given, but they are responsible for the questions that they're asking. And these questions need to be a little bit more tough. I'm going to be saying that because I don't want to say other things that people are going to be upset about, but like, they need to be really hard-hitting questions because the fandom deserves that, man.
Yeah. And how will the stadium be funded? Are you going to be leaning on mostly private financing, or will there be some sort of public partnership? And I want to know, like, for example, they have a lot of political connections. I know that Will Weatherford, politician and well-regarded in the Tampa Bay area and the entire state, he's on board with this new ownership group. How are you going to leverage his talent and connections and expertise to get money for this thing paid for? So this is a prime opportunity to get that done, because it's not only is it just asking the tough questions and the right questions and trying to get some more information, but it's not every day, at least it wasn't with Stu Sternberg, that you had an opportunity to speak with him and get an answer. Because it was maybe like once a year, twice a year that Mark Totkin would, have a face-to-face with them and talk about his favorite Bruce Springsteen song and favorite restaurant in St. Petersburg. Like this is a prime time and prime opportunity to get some stuff out there and to give the fan base some answers.
And if you start with that level of questioning, then now you've set the bar. This is where we're going to talk to you. This is how the things are going to be asked. If you're just going to be asking them, like, what's the favorite thing you want to do in Tampa Bay? Like, no, like, well, then what are we doing here? And to that effect, I need to hear, has MLB contacted you guys on their MLB investigation regarding Wander Franco? Have you heard anything about that? Do we have a timeline on whether we know what is going to happen with that contract? These are things. Is the Wander Franco investigation hampering you guys from signing an extension to, for example, Junior Caminero?
Right.
Like, you need to be asking these questions. I need the Tampa Bay media. I'm going to speak for, at least for the both of us, because I know a lot of Rays fans feel this way. The Tampa Bay media needs to represent the mood.
We want Patrick Zalupski sweating after this press conference.
And not in a bad way.
I need to change my jacket.
And not in a bad way, but just like, we need to be asking serious questions in order to be taken as a serious fan base. Yeah. And the fan base, unfortunately, does not have the microphone to speak to them. Heck, if we were able to do so, I know that we wouldn't care about that, because we're not that. We're looking from the outside in. And I know that people are in the inside are going to tell us, look, we can't do that. The rapport is there. You don't want to be blacklisted and all that. But like,
they need to continue to get their stories, and it's a game. It's a game.
But this is the thing. In other markets, that game does not get played. And that's why the Tampa Bay media has a clean slate right now to just go a little bit above what they've done in the past and just actually ask important questions and the follow-up questions to the nothingness blurb. We could do this all day long. Oh yeah, we really haven't heard anything from MLB regarding that, but we're sure to update you guys when we get that.
We'll update you when we get a chance.
Don't just stop there. Go further. Well, has there been any communication? Have you seen any information coming in from the investigation? Like, you need to push a more forward if you're the Tampa Bay media. And I'm afraid, as a Rays fan, from what we have seen with the Sternberg treatment, that we might not get that. So I am imploring the Tampa Bay media to ask the tough questions and to not just accept the first answer they give you and then write about it or just say about it on TV. I'm asking, I'm imploring, I'm begging for the Tampa Bay media to just give me the follow-up question to that beige answer that we're bound to get.
We'll find out on Tuesday morning. All right. Coming up next, switching gears more towards on the field, recognition for a great year can happen to 6 outstanding Rays.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. So let's not do that. And you can avoid that by using Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone, even when you're on the go. And you want to know what's going on, you can just look at the Monarch Money app, and there it is. So do not let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com using promo code LOCKEDONMLB.
Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, the Rays have 6 nominees for the All MLB team, and that isn't just about earning accolades, but it's also hopefully laying the foundation for a competitive team going into 2026. And the 6 nominees for the Rays on the 2025 All MLB team are as follows: Jonathan Aranda, Brandon Lowe, Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, Drew Rasmussen, Pete Fairbanks. So even if none of these guys make first or second team honors, this to me underscores that we've got a good core, we've got a good group in place that you can hopefully, if you're Eric Neander and ownership spending a little bit of money, you can utilize to buttress yourself up into 2026. It might have to, I think with these 6 players, it shows that we have a good entree. Now we just need to work on some of the sides, maybe the dessert a little bit, maybe the drink. But between what these guys did, I think the Rays have a really good foundation. And I'm rooting for all of them to hopefully get, first team or second team nominations. But I would venture to say that last year, 2024, the Rays didn't have 6 players on this All MLB list, or if they did or would have, they were probably traded before the end of the season.
And I know if you're looking this from the perspective of, say you're a California guy, and you're not a Rays fan, but you're a California guy, and you're like, what are these guys talking about 6 nominations? Why is that important? How is that juicy? How is that important? Well, it shows exactly that. There's a core in place for the Rays that not only shows future, but it also shows veteranship there, okay? Because you have the mix there of veteran leaders like Brandon Lowe and Yandy Diaz, and you have Pete Fairbanks, and you have young guys like Junior Caminero and Jonathan Aranda who can propel to be even better in coming years. Because let's be honest, this is the first full season for both Jonathan and Junior. Yeah. And Drew Rasmussen just came back from a 3rd major surgery and was an all-star. So I know it might not seem like a big deal for people that are not in the Tampa Bay region to us be speaking about these nominations, but it is important because it literally shows there's a core in place. And like you're saying, Kevin, you have the meat there.
Yeah.
You have the entree. What's it going to be with the sides? Like, how are you going to improve the bullpen? You can't just
rely on Pete Fairbanks. You have to have more than that. And if you look at what we've seen in the playoffs, some of these bullpens are stacked where there is not a break anywhere.
Or
the consideration.
Or not even that, Kev, but you have a situation, for example, with the Dodgers. I know we talked about it on Monday's pod, but you have a situation with the Dodgers where their bullpen is an issue. So what they do is they leverage their starting rotation to improve their bullpen in a way that no other team can do. Like the Rays have had the opportunity to do that in the past, And I think they are able to do that in the future, but you need to do this during the offseason. You have what that core is. You have the young guys and you have the veterans there. Now we need a little bit more. Okay, how are you going to improve that starting rotation? How are you going to improve the bullpen? What are we going to do for the bench options? What are we going to do to understand that we need more outfield power? Because when you're talking about the outfield, you're talking Mangum, Simpson, Morel, Josh Lowe. None of those guys have power. And I know that people want to believe that Morel, he's shown power. That was 2.5 years ago in another bleeping ballpark. And you have Josh Lowe, who hasn't shown pop in 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So those 4 guys are not, and then you're like, well, there must be somebody else. Who? Cameron Meisner?
No.
Who? Richie Palacios?
No.
They're not pop. So you have 0 pop in the outfield. So you have to address that. You have the core, but what are you going to do to supplant so that this team can just go a little bit upwards in trajectory so that they actually can fight for a playoff spot in 2026?
What are you going to do at shortstop? What are you going to do at catcher in 2026? Those are big questions. Now, I'm rooting for all these guys, but I'm really pinpointing to see where Junior Caminero lines up in the All MLB. I mean, another way to look at this is for the entire year, these are 6 All-Stars, basically. If you're looking at the All MLB team as a whole, I mean, it's a big deal in that respect. But it is satisfying to see Junior on the list and having at 21 going on 22 years old, he's got better numbers than Alex Bregman, better numbers than Matt Chapman, better numbers than Manny Machado, better numbers than Max Muncy. And now to me, I think I don't know if it really kind of depends on what the voters prioritize. Is it the 45 homers and the 110 RBIs and the OPS, or is it prioritizing the overall talent of like a Jose Ramirez who had a 30-44 season? I think they probably lean to Jose Ramirez, but still, it's something that it's very, very impressive for Junior, and you hope that he continues to build off this next year as well, along with you.
I agree. And the fact that he's 22, man, it's really impressive. I honestly, if you look at that list, and I know you didn't say Eugenio Suarez or Michael Garcia or Zach McKinstry, which are also on the list, the one name that I think is above Junior, and I mean, for me, pretty clearly, is Jose Ramirez. I mean,
Yes.
he is just, I mean, he's in a Hall of Famer trajectory right now.
Yeah, he could retire in 2 years and probably be a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. So, like, I'm not going to be so biased that I'm going to forget about who Jose Ramirez is. So, like, he's definitely above Junior. But then the other names, I'm sorry, fam. I got to put Junior Caminero against all of those. And I think I'd still take Junior. Like, even if you're going to tell me, well, Matt Chapman has a gold glove out there. Yeah, but he's got a 770 OPS and he's hitting 230. Like, I can't in good conscience just say that he's clearly better.
Right.
So I think Junior is at a very good spot right now, and he's part of that core. And you just got to hope that these nominations give some hope for the front office to say, we've got the important things. How can we help this team?
And for the ownership, because it's ultimately the ownership giving the front office the ability to purchase additional ingredients. We want some mac and cheese. Okay, go out and purchase some mac and cheese. We want some baked beans. Okay, go out and purchase some baked beans. We want a nice little pie. Okay, here's the finances to be able to do that. So there we go. Rooting for those guys and seeing how the All MLB team shakes out. Now, between voting for talent to voting assistant coaches away, Brady North is out of the Rays dugout. We'll discuss next.
There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, and you got to use Game Time. Why? Well, because it's actually fun to get tickets using Game Time. You know why? Because there's no surprise fees. That's my favorite part about Game Time. You don't just get stuck with all these fees at the end of the line that you didn't think that you would get. Okay? It's the price you see. That's the price that you pay. So take advantage and download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your very first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, the Rays swapping out assistant hitting coach Brady North may be their way to refresh the batter's box voice while preserving their broader hitting philosophy. Just some notes here. Brady North had served as the Rays assistant hitting coach under Kevin Cash since November 2021. Promoted from within the organization. The Rays say that North has been offered a different role within the org, but that he could depart if another MLB opportunity arises. Now, the reasoning for this move, it was, according to reporting, based on a matter of, quote, fit and changing the dynamic and voices within the hitting crew. So with that, Brady North is out. Chad Mottola, the prime time hitting coach, still sticks around. If I recall, Chad Mottola is, I think, the longest tenured hitting coach in Major League Baseball. And to his credit and Brady North's credit, the Rays did improve offensively, and the key metric of runners in scoring position did improve from a 212 batting average in 2024 to 266 in 2025. So that was one of the key markers in the offseason and spring training, is we got to do better with runners in scoring position. And they were able to do that this past season. But I guess the Rays also feel that, hey, we need a new, different, fresh voice as part of the hitting coaching group here.
The article that we're referring to gave us good details, but I wish we would have seen a breakdown by months, because I feel like that runners in scoring position number is heavily buoyed
by the 25-9 mark, or the blowout wins. Yeah. I mean, in that respect, though, there's been some injuries, and you're, playing, Bob Seymour.
No Jonathan Aranda at the end. August, September, the team is dead. I understand that, but I would like to see just how that fared throughout the year. If it went down, I think it did go down.
Right.
I mean, we were talking about in May and June where, for example, just an example, Jake Mangum was hitting like 440 with runners in scoring position. Like, that's not going to happen throughout the year. So, Brady North is out. It is surprising that Chad Mottola is still there, not because of, he shouldn't be there or whatever, but it's like, it's the most thankless job in Major League Baseball, is being a hitting coach, because you have an expiration date 1,000%. Now, Brady North Brady North started in November 21, so you can't add him to that list. But Chad Mottola lived through the 2021 season, which was amazing hitting-wise. He was there during to 2023, which was amazing. And then the 2025 season, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was good to okay.
Right.
So, of course, you do have 2022 and 2024 where they weren't that great. So there's a mixed bag in there. But it does surprise me that a thankless job like being a hitting coach has the Rays, who haven't been world beaters throughout his tenure, to still have that gig.
Yeah, but I mean, we can also, just going back to the second segment, look at what Aranda did this year. Look at what Brandon Lowe did this year. Look at what Junior Caminero did this year. Look at what Yandy Diaz did this year. And like you said, it's a thankless job. It's low-hanging fruit. Whenever the team's offense is struggling, the first thing is to blame the hitting coach. Well, he's not up there taking the swings. I think it's just overall philosophy and making sure that guys are confident and prepared in the best way possible. But if you're given Chris Morel and you're given Bob Seymour and given some other guys, that it's hard to compete with that. Now, I will say, regarding Chris Morel, it's like, well, why was he able to be successful in Chicago for periods? Right. And then why is he struggling so much with the Rays? Now, and not to speculate too much here, but it seems that for them moving off of Brady North, but keeping Chad Mottola, it could have been a thing where Chad Mottola and Brady North weren't vibing all that much, or Brady North
giving disconnecting information to the group.
It wasn't streamlined, so to speak. And maybe Kevin Cash had more of a comfortability factor with Chad Mottola. So it's like, we got to find somebody else for that assistant hitting coach role, and that's the other thing too, is, kind of harkening back to the first segment, we want to know more details of like, okay, they say that Brady North leaving as hitting coach was a matter of fit and changing the dynamic and voices within the hitting group. Okay, why?
But
Give me
why?
more than that. I need more than one
Yes.
sentence, more than one 18-word sentence as to give me specifics. Delve down into the details of what it is.
And I think it's the fandom who needs to rise to the occasion and demand the Tampa Bay media saying, I want more. I need more.
Yeah.
You have the access. We do not. Ask a little bit more. What was it about the dynamic and the fit that weren't really working within the group? And I know that's a tough question to ask someone who you have to see and you have to work with every day. But that's the gig, baby. That's
part of it.
That's the thing. It's an uncomfortable job. It's an uncomfortable situation. But you signed up for it. You studied for it. And we demand that we need to hear those things. And again, it's going to be tough, but you have to ask those questions, man.
Indeed. Now, there is talk that replacing North could come internally with minor league hitting coordinators, Will Bradley or Kyle Wilson, maybe even former Rays coach Ozzie Timmons as well. But we're starting to see the dominoes fall a little bit. We saw it with Carlos Rodriguez in the front office, and now we see it with Brady North. So it remains to be seen what other changes are on the for the Rays going forward. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast. We appreciate it. For your next listen, your second listen, check out the Locked On MLB Game Night Show. Every game, every night, all season long, even throughout the playoffs. That can be found on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or wherever you get your